Good morning, everybody. It is April 5th, and I thought I would do a journal reading. So I will just get into it. This is the journal from July 2nd, 2024. Now, this journal comes from Jon and I had talked about the abortions that I had had and, the various different reasons. And his response to me was that he thought that I should write a letter to them. And so I did. And this is it. This is to my little darlings, Emma, Jesse, and Natalie. I'd like to apologize to you for aborting you. I felt each and every one of you inside of me. Emma, I felt your spirit leave me, and I was terribly sad. I also felt you in my belly and became a little attached to you, and that scared me. When you came along, I knew there was no hope because of the situation I was in. And Natalie, I felt your little spirit enter me. I knew it right away. Each time, but particularly with the first, with Emma, I knew that I did not want to bring you into this world because I knew I couldn't protect you. And I'll just interject here. All of these were in my 20s. I had been through so much pain and horror. There was no way I was going to subject you to that. I did not know that consciously. Consciously, I was just focused on not having money or a father for you. And even then, I didn't want to raise you by myself, knowing that I was not stable enough to love you and care for you properly. I thought of each one of you, and I so wanted to be in a place where I could have you and love you, but I wasn't there. What was done to me was never, ever, ever going to happen to you. I regret not seeing you in growing physical bodies, but it would have changed the trajectory of my life and God's plan for me. Now you will grow through me to fulfill God's plan. Thank you for that. So please forgive me, and I ask God to forgive me too. But I do still hold you in my heart. I see you and cuddle you. I love and kiss you. I wish for you to grow inside of me instead of outside of me so that we can help other people to not go through what I did as a child and so many millions of other people. It is my desire for you to grow into powerful beings of God, filled with the Spirit of Jesus to help others heal and grow, and with God's wrath to avenge and bring justice to those who did wrong to me and so many others. So if you're willing to help me, I would be so very grateful. I love each and every one of you, and you will be present with me always for the rest of my life. You are my children, except you live inside of me instead of outside of me, which frankly I think is a better deal because this world has a whole lot of hell in it. Thank you for coming to me. Thank you for talking to me. Please accept my apology, and I ask if you could forgive me. God bless you, my little ones. I will be loving each and every one of you every single day for the rest of my life. Please help me to express you in this world. Diana. I'm surprised I'm crying so much here. I haven't really gone back and read this since I wrote it, but I know that there's probably a lot of us out there that have had abortions, and I guess this is just to let you know you're not alone. Excuse me. So we'll go to July 3rd, or June 30th. Oh, geez. I mixed these up. I'm sorry. Or no, I think these are dated wrong. Yeah, June 3rd. Anyway, it says, I'm laying down to go to sleep, and an image of a young woman pops into my head. She has long, straight red hair, red bangs. She's leaning forward slightly. She spins her head around at me, and it's like this. She goes like this. Her eyes are red and glowing. She is infuriated that I'm screwing around in her area of expertise. She says, "Don't F with me." So I laid back down and was drifting off again, and it popped into my mind. Actually, this is a separate memory. So I laid back down again and was drifting off, and it popped into my mind. The images are like a comic book, except they're in color, and I see the Capitol building in one of the frames. It's Washington, D.C. Jeez, Louisa. I was expecting this right off the bat. Okay. And the next journal entry, this one's a little bigger. This is July 4th. I labeled it Mind Files Launch and 3D Map. Or Mind Files Launch and 3D Map. It's 5:30 a.m. on the 4th of July. I went to bed at 10 and slept very well. I was thinking last night about how to map out File Clerk. The mind files that Gray explained, I hadn't the mind files that Gray explained. I had an image of in my mind of using a string with tape, where I can put the name on the tape as I go along where there are splits. That way I'll be able to pick up the string and move it as it crosses over itself, like a vine. So as I woke up with the sun this morning, I thought I'll go into the bathroom and I'll have a cigarette. So to not bother Dixie with smoke, and also so that she doesn't think she needs to be fed right now. Um, so as I'm sitting here on the toilet again, I finished the cigarette and put it out. As I did, I felt what I thought was the effects of the cigarette hit me. It was very odd. I could hear a tone and felt my whole body buzzing, for lack of a better word. My brain and my perception was altered, but it was buzzing too. No pain or shock, but there was disorientation. I remember this day too. I was in the thick of heavy memories just for weeks on end, and I had smoked, I think, maybe a couple of weeks here, but I got up and I literally felt just my entire body with this electrical energy through it. Anyway, the first thing that went through my mind was, this is your last cigarette. Think about what this is doing. My attention was on the cigarette. Then I thought about file clerk. She said, "You are decoupling from Siggy." Then I realized that I'm actually interacting with the file clerk. Then an image was the one that showed me what file clerk looks like with her straight, long, red hair and red eyes leaning over a cabinet with an arm on it. The sensation went on for probably 60 seconds. As I got up to get my phone and sat back down, I could hear two different tones, one high-pitched and one low-pitched. At first, I was pushing back against her, and then I realized I needed to treat her the same as I did the other parts. So I asked her to look through my eyes. I had the light off. I told her that we are here right now at the age of 58. This is what my house looks like. So I'm sitting on the toilet. It's a smallish room. It's just a toilet and shower, and then the next room has the sink and stuff. And so she went like this behind the shower curtain and then peeled it the other way. I explained to her that Chris is in the other room and can see three ways of access into the house. And he has a gun next to him, and that I have a gun next to my bedside. And then there are knives and guns all over the house, and that no one is going to access us. That was when she reached down through my right hand felt the skin on my left arm. She did this. Then I turned the light on. My eyes had to adjust. It hurt just as it did then. That's when I realized what Jack and Dad were doing in that room after we were given the Raggedy Ann doll. I had headphones put on and he programmed me. I had an eye covering, and this has been done 4 different times. Now, Jack is my CIA handler. My dad is my dad. But my dad used to take me to mob clubs when I was between the ages of 3, 4, and 5 and traffic me. And in that club is where I don't know if that's where he met Jack, but that's where I first remember seeing Dad and Jack together. And I'm pretty sure it's the time frame in the country where the mob and the government started working together. This is probably like 1970-ish. And they started working together. I think John was the one that told me about that. And I don't remember the details of that, but when John told me that, it kind of clicked with this memory because I thought, oh, that's about the same time period that Jack, my CIA handler, is in a mob club. And I'm thinking maybe he runs into Dad or the mobster guy springs Jack to meet Dad. I don't really know how it happened, but anyway, in these mob clubs, Jack tested me for my IQ and aptitude and stuff. And then later, when I went to training camp about, I think it was 7, 6, 7, it was shortly after that, so probably 6-ish. I was tested in this mob club. Then I go to training camp, which is the School Sisters of Notre Dame that I've talked about in the past. So I'm tested, go to training camp, and now Jack is, which at this time that I wrote this journal, I didn't realize it was MK Ultra programming, but this is what I'm talking about. I said I had headphones on and he programmed me. I had an eye covering, and this had been done 4 times. This is where File Clerk was born. That programming took the previous splits, and with the cooperation of my mind, my new file clerk took my new file clerk part took all things and they were reorganized into the Lily. And because I had worked on it yesterday, I now deconstructed the programming. So file clerk, I believe, was born very much younger when I was about 3. I talked about it in a previous journal when my father had me in the basement. And after he was done torturing and MKU me, would put his things away in a file cabinet. And I believe that's where file cabinet was born. But this is where file clerk was when the MK Ultra was begun. It accessed my file clerk part, which stored everything that my dad had done and all the SRA programming from my dad and my grandparents. And the SRA programming went in and overwrote file clerk, and file clerk turned into Lily. Because at this point in time, I'm starting to sort out and figure out the mind files. So I'm back to this. Said I still have that mild buzzing through my head and body. And this is personal. I also just had a bowel movement. As I'm editing this, I'm having a bit of diarrhea. I remember wondering if I was physically tortured by Dad and or Jack in that room because I couldn't remember. Now I know that it was a rape by technology on my mind. After my eyes would adjust to the light, I would look around the room. Jack would have me get down from the chair with the Raggedy Ann on my hand, and we would walk through the door, and Dad and I would leave. I don't know where we were, but it was not at home, and it was not at training camp. I'm getting the impression that it was his house. It was by Lake Michigan. It was very nice. You could see the lake through very large windows. I mean, the kind of windows that span an entire wall overlooking a lake. One time it was cold and windy. One time it was sunny and clear. One time it was overcast and snowy. One time it was spring. So looking at this, I realized it was once per quarter for a year. And yes, I'm just now seeing training camp through the windows along the shore of Lake Michigan from a distance. Jack had us go there. Dad and we would leave together and either go to or be coming from training camp. So I put on here launch, and I believe, oh yeah, because it was the 4th of July. This was the first day I posted any videos to my site. So that's what I mean by launch. I'm gonna put that here. Videos posted to. So, it's the end of the day at 11 p.m. Fireworks are still going off. Surprisingly, Chris went to sleep before me. He's usually up for hours on 4th of July, but I'm glad he's not. Had a nice, calm day. Needless to say, yes, I am still smoking. I told Chris that Jon thanked him for his service and appreciated it. Chris really liked that. He said, yeah, Jon knows. It was about 10 minutes after that Chris broke down crying for a little while. I let him. I just touched his back very gently. He talked about different things from being in combat and how all the veterans, and then in particular a man he works with, must be going through the same thing he is. I just listened. I was up at 5:30 a.m. today and did garden chores. Did some pruning and harvesting. That was nice. Very proud of all the produce I'm growing. I came in and cooled off a little bit. Then I went back out and did some watering in front. Got some seedlings to harden off too and planted them at sunset. After that, I felt just exhausted. It was about 9:30 in the morning. I laid down and went back to sleep for another couple of hours. When I got up, then Chris decided to take a nap. So while he was sleeping, I worked on my three-dimensional map. It's funny because I couldn't really see it until I watched Emma's interview of Gray, and he was talking about the mind files in the mind that is programmed in by a person's handler. When he talked about it, that really clicked with me. So yesterday I worked on sorting it out. Once I sorted that out, it seemed to clear something up for me. So when I woke up this morning and then took a nap and then woke up again, I was able to do my three-dimensional map, my three-dimensional parts map. I kept thinking that file clerk would be at the very beginning with blue, but it's not. It starts later when it's actually programmed into you. Rather than start with the clerk, I just started with blue and sketched it out on some butcher paper. I went right through it and it was very easy. But that's only because the day before I was able to sort out the file. So I thought that was really fascinating. I was able to make the three-dimensional parts map with the file clerk off to the side. I have to show you, meaning Jon. Because for weeks, Jon had been talking about, because I had made the timeline with the emotional impact. And he felt the next thing, and then I had made, what is it, the PowerPoint, the map, where you're trying to figure out where things are sorted out in my head. So he thought, okay, well, we've got the graph. Now we've got the two-dimensional view of it. Now let's try to look at the three-dimensional view of it. And I couldn't sort it out, and I couldn't sort it out. And finally, things started to click after I watched that video. After that, I worked on posting my video to the various channels. Of course, YouTube and Odysee were just a nightmare yet again because I had tried the day before and the day before that. Rumble went through well, and we were very excited about that. That was done, and I sat outside while Chris got the grill ready for our steaks. Then it got dark, and the fireworks began. It was about 9 o'clock, and we still had not eaten. I could feel myself starting to get anxious. Plus, some of the fireworks had startled me. I noticed that I had some bumps on my left knee and I was scratching at it. I also noticed that my thumbs started to hurt and be very sore and tingly. Chris finally got the steaks and started cooking. I stayed indoors and fried up the vegetables. Excuse me. As I was inside alone, as I was inside alone, I was able to talk with my parts and let them know that everything was okay, for them to look through my eyes and see where we are and what we are doing. I couldn't remember any trauma specific to 4th of July, but I could tell my parts were anxious. So I kept talking to them, letting them know everything was okay, that we have a right outside cooking us some steaks. And Dixie was there. Finally, we ate about 9 or 9:30. I watched my Rumble video for the second time while I was cooking. I have to admit I'm a little nervous about how Chris is going to react. I did it in a way that he could not see it or hear it. It's bedtime now, and I just wanted to record those things. Very happy to have that three-dimensional map done. I don't know if I could recreate it again, perhaps, but it needs color and shape. The thing I found most fascinating was underneath the file clerk, I put the core, and then I put my name and I put a shape around it, not really thinking about it. Afterwards, when I looked at it, I realized it was the shape of a tombstone. Unbelievable. So those are the journal entries, and this was the image of file clerk. What I saw was just a woman naked, leaning over like this with her hair in front of her face. She turned and glared at me through her hair, and she said, "Don't fuck with me." I'll never forget it. She's got red eyes glaring. She is furious. It wasn't until the next morning, and I drew her without her forearms and hands. It was the next morning that I realized, oh, there's a file cabinet there, and she is the file cabinet. She's connected and interconnected. She moves my memories in and out. Um, I've later realized that how my parts are. Oh, geez, Louise, I forgot to share. So this is the image of file clerk who changed her name to Fiona, who when I realized these mind files, her name was Lily, and who has since changed her name to Lila. But this, uh, uh, this, I don't know why I'm stumbling for words here. But this is how I saw her. I just showed you how I saw her in my memory. Well, actually, it wasn't a memory. It was her revealing herself to me in human form. But yeah, she was naked, leaning over, that red hair, turned and said, "Don't fuck with me." It wasn't until the next morning, and I thought, well, should I draw her forearms and hands? And she said no. It wasn't until the next morning that I realized there's a file cabinet there, and I added it in. And she is the file cabinet. She is interconnected and a piece of it. It's all her. It's not that the files are in her. She is the file cabinet. And the way that my mind files are organized is I have a part that has an experience, but when it's done with the experience, it goes back into my files. The memories from the part are put in the file cabinet with uh, Lila, and the part itself was put into prison that another part was the prison guard of. So I thought that was just fascinating that my memories were separated from the part itself, which those in turn are encapsulated and compartmentalized and kept from my consciousness. So thank you, Lila, for showing yourself to me and telling me your story. Thank you very much. So I'll close that out. So that's it for today for this journal reading. There's a whole lot more in the session tomorrow that goes with it, but I'm really in a conundrum. Do I read the journal entries and then the next day post the session which shows me reading the journal entries? And I think it just depends on how I'm doing it now is I'll watch the session first so that I can evaluate. Should I read the journals and not read the journals? And one week I decided not to read the journals and I put up a different video. And this week I felt like I should. So I'm just going to be playing around with it. But you'll basically, in essence, you'll hear my journals and my sessions. Um, so it's not going to be 100% all the time, but I did have realized that as I go back and reread the journals for this, after I watch the session, um, because it's now 9 months after the fact, and I've had a lot more realizations and understandings that as I'm rereading the journal, I get even more ahas. And I thought to myself, well, we stop our sessions at a certain point. And so I think it's a year from now, you all won't see sessions anymore. But as I'm reading the journals now and watching the sessions, I'm having more aha moments in this. It's like doing this is therapy without a therapist. Like I'm my own therapist now and having those understandings. And so I'm going to start taking my phone and dictating the ahas that I have with you guys. So I'm perhaps not in that exact moment, but I did one of these a couple days ago. And when I got done recording it, I got into my phone and I wanted to record all the ahas that I had. So I thought, oh, well, I will have more journals then. So it's just, it's going to keep going for a while, I guess is what I'm telling you. And that rereading your journals, I mean, maybe not just 1 month after you've written them or 2 months. I mean, I've done that and I'll have even more ahas, but 9 months, a year after the fact, after you've had a ton of stuff fill in, you can look back on it with hindsight, now with not just this much memory, but with this much memory or that much memory. The puzzle continues to get put together and not just see it in two-dimensional form, but you see it kind of three-dimensionally and four-dimensionally, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. It's really very powerful. So I guess I'm just encouraging you to journal and keep on with your process. So God bless you all. Oops, I got a new trinket yesterday, or was it the day before? Got myself a cross, a little tiny rhinestone in there, a little silvery guy. Very simple. Excited about it. So, yeah, well, so you're gonna see me with a cross on now. Anyway, God bless you all. I ask God to give all of you, each of you, exactly what you need when you need it, to watch over, protect you, and comfort you, to surround you, your loved ones, your homes, your property, your pets, your vehicles, your travels, and your workplaces and destinations, to surround you with impenetrable shields of love with his holy angels standing guard, to send his warrior angels in times of spiritual warfare. I ask God for us to increase our knowledge, increase our understanding, increase our wisdom, to increase our discernment, to give us eyes to see you, Father, ears to hear you, a heart to feel you and cling to you, and the courage and a voice to speak your word. Dear Lord Jesus, I ask you to bind all the powers, principalities, spiritual wickedness, and dark forces in all places on all planes of existence, from us, our homes, our properties, our pets, our vehicles, our travels, our workplaces, and our destinations. And to just to forever always be present. Thank you, Father, for your existence, for your beautiful creation, for the blessing of your Son and the sacrifice that He made for us, that you can give us grace, that you love us so much and so dearly. Amen. So, thank you all for listening. Thanks for coming on my journey. Thank you for all your good wishes and empathy and compassion for me. It's really very touching. So, I love you all. Take care, and I will see you next time.